Hi guys, welcome back. So in today's video, I will be showing the build guide for the Assassin COC Ice Nova, and this will be the low budget version with very little investment. Okay, you don't really have to spend like over 10 exhaust or whatever. This is just the low budget beginner version, and this version is considered as a glass cannon build, where it has almost no defensive layers, but it is really very fast, and with the chill and freeze and the additional movement speed from Assassin Ascendancy, you don't really need to worry about anything. Okay, so the only problem is probably bossing, because the boss can't be freezing forever and you probably have to kite around him. Other than that, it's really very sleek and very nice. Okay, so before I start, I would like to do a simple explanation on COC and the mechanics of how it actually works. This is mainly more for the beginners and those that have just started this build. Probably in the previous leagues you didn't try and you want to try now, and I really highly recommend that you understand this before you play, so that you understand what is going on. Okay, otherwise, for those of you that already understand the mechanics of how it works, you can just skip to the POE section of the timestamp in the description. Okay, I'll just briefly and quickly go through the cast on critical strike mechanics. Okay, so COC and skill gem, COC skill gem and cosplay malaise both have a cooldown on how many times they can trigger the skill each second. Okay, they cannot be triggered every single time you deal a critical strike, otherwise it will be just too overpowered, and that is why there is a cooldown implementation on the skill. And it interacts with increased cooldown recovery rate, in short is ICDR. So basically, the more ICDR you have, the more you are able to trigger your skill on each critical strike. Okay, the minimum ICDR for you to trigger more of your skill, like the bare minimum, is 14%. Okay, anything other than that, right, that means below it, anything below that is as good as triggering it as per normal. Okay, so even if you have 12%, 10%, it is no use. Okay, the bare minimum is 14%. Okay, so note that the benchcraft ICDR does not work on COC or Cosplay's Malice. I don't know why. I'm not sure if this is intended or not, but it doesn't work on both of this. Okay, so I know that there is a belt benchcraft suffix for ICDR. That does not work. Okay, and going over the maximum trigger rate, right, which means if you have too high of an APS, attack speed per second, which also will mean that your attack will start landing first before the cooldown of the skill expires, and that is not something that you want it to happen. So do take note, your APS cannot be too high. Okay, and this is just a very brief showcase of the how COC and cosplay both will reach their peak of triggering the skills when you have the following rates. Okay, so as you can see, I list down here in a very own self-made table. So ICRS, if it's 0%, okay, you will trigger about 6.06 times if your APS is 6.06. So very straightforward. Okay, your APS will probably just show you how much you can trigger per second, and this is only for one hand. If it's two hand, just double the value. Okay, so for 14% is 7.57, and then for 52% will be 10.10. So some of you might be asking me, how do you even get 52%? Okay, 52% will come from your Awakened Cast on Critical Strike Gem. Okay, so for your Awakened Cast on Critical Strike Gem, every level it will increase by 3%. I think with the new changes I saw, you can even reach until more than 30%. Okay, so it's pretty nice over there. And lastly, you don't really need to reach the exact APS, but just slightly around there will allow you to perform just fine. Okay, so example, if you have 14%, maybe 7.2, about 7.2, 7.7, even above slightly, it's also just fine. Okay, and if you are dual wielding cosplay, right, just getting more attack speed is always fine. I don't think you can reach double the value of APS very easily. It's really very hard to get a lot of attack speed. So yeah, just something to take note. Okay, so in the passive skill tree, this is how it will look like. For Ascendancy, just take Assassin, and then first you want to take Unstable Infusion, definitely for the power charge generation. followed by daily infusion, and then you can take Mistwalker for elusive. Okay, elusive is very very strong, and that's why assassin is like considering one of the fastest class inside here. And then last, you will want to take opportunistic for more damage against unique enemies like bosses or stuff like that. Okay, and this is the level 93. As usual from all my other build guides, you can always filter over here. 80, yeah, I would say 80 is like the more of the optimal level that you actually start to experience the real COC, because once you have finished Act 10, right, all your skill gems are still not really level, so you really can't experience the full power of it yet. You start to see more after level 80, and then level 90 should be fine when you reach around level 18 or 19 gems. Okay, and from level 80 to 90 is basically just more life nodes. As you can see, right, from level 80, I actually only have 3.4k life, which is honestly a bit low because you really need to scale all the crits and damage from spells and stuff like that, elemental damage, blah blah. Okay, and at level 90, I just decided to go more health because if you are too low, it's just really bad, right? You don't want to get one shot really randomly, so I try to reach around 4.5k like that. So this life, right, is in accordance with tier 3 life items. Okay, so if you manage to get your hands on a tier 2 or tier 1, then your life will definitely go much higher. Okay, I'm going to briefly go through the stats for this build. So we're going to have about 98% chance to crit. Okay, this is very high. Our Ice Nova will definitely be 100%, that's for sure, because spell we have more skill points for spell crit chance. And then at level 67, right, okay, maybe I'll go to level 80, sorry. At level 80, we're gonna have about 3.27 total maximum DPS. Like, this is the max DPS you can dish out. Okay, this is including all the power charges and frenzy charges and whatever. Yes, there's frenzy charges, and the frenzy charges will be tied to Ice Bite when it generates them from another of your cosplay skills. Okay, and yeah, this is how it looks like. We see we don't really have lots of evasion. This evasion actually only comes from our body equipments, but the movement speed is really high. Okay, this is really high. Okay, so some of you might be asking, we're going to main Ice Nova, right? How come there is Ice Spear? I'll show you over later at the skill gems over there. So for the Pantheon, right, I choose to take Soul of Arakali and Soul of Shakari because poison is just a pain in the ass to deal with, and I don't want to be like taking too much damage over time, and I just cannot get out of it. Okay, so the second option you would want to take is probably Soul of Lunaris to just walk faster and get more additional damage reduction. And then if you are taking that, you can probably take Soul of Gufku as well, just more additional physical damage reduction. But considering how like poison and damage over time is still very deadly, right, for some of us, and even like all those low budget versions, I think this is like the more viable option so that you don't die too much to chaos damage or poison. Okay, and last to take note, there is skill tree for leveling up when you are doing the X. I think a lot of you have always been asking me to do all of this, and I've only done until Act 4 because until Act 4 you probably have gotten all of your gems. So from Act 4 onwards, you can always just take the level 67 one and just anyhow scale. I think it really doesn't matter. Like, you can even go for the left side and go for all these nodes because they actually do give attributes as well, right? If I remember, yeah, 10 strength intelligence, 10 strength intelligence, and then you can have one socket here and with all the strength nodes as well. So yeah, really up to personal preference. I would say after 40, just go anywhere. Okay, on to the skill gem. So for our 6th link, I think this is very standardized. Very standard. You want Cyclone, Cast on Critical Strike and Ice Nova, and then Inspiration as well for the crit chance and more elemental damage. And because it's low budget and we are lacking the critical strike chance, right? I'm gonna go for critical strike, increased critical strike skill gem. Okay, because if you're not gonna use it, you see, we're gonna lose a lot of crit strike chance. That's about 25%. Okay, that is really a lot. I have tried going for increased critical damage. It doesn't really work out very well. So just trying to go for the 100% crit chance over here. And then last but not least, hypothermia. If you don't really want hypothermia, you can always go for added cold damage. It's just slightly more DPS. Just that hypothermia has the additional effects of what's that? Here, you have 20% chance to freeze enemies which are chill. Okay, I think this is actually quite important, like especially when you are doing boss fights or you are fighting a very tanky rare monster, and that's why I chose hypothermia over added cold damage. Okay, and then for our first cosplay trigger, right, I'm going to use this, which is Frostbolt. I think it's very normal. And then Frostbomb for the cold exposure. And I'm going to go with Arcane Surge, okay? Because Arcane Surge technically gives you more spell damage, right? Like this is a global spell damage, okay? About 20%, I think. Is it? Yeah, I think so. It grants you, it technically just grants you more spell damage throughout all your entire skills. So I decided to go for this. And Frostbolt, we don't really need GMP because we're going to equip Frozen Trail, which has more projectiles. Later I'll show you. And then for our second trigger, I decided to go with Ice Spear. Okay, so some of you might be asking me why Ice Spear, because this build has very good clear with the Ice Nova and Frostbolt already, but it lacks the single target damage. So I decided to go for Ice Spear so that you have more damage over bosses, or when you are fighting those very tanky and hard rare mobs, you have more damage to dish out just to burst them down. Okay. Otherwise, if you don't have Ice Spear, right? If you don't have Ice Spear, your damage is going to drop very significantly. Okay. So you can see, right, Ice Spear just by itself, this 3 link is already 1.5 million, just like that with the second form. Yeah, so it's just I feel I can't really give up on this because the build is really lacking on single target damage. I can't be just going on full out those clear speed and then die to the boss so frequently because I can't kill it fast. Yeah, so I think Ice Spear is a better option here. And like I mentioned, I'm gonna link it with Ice Bite so that I will have Frenzy Charge. Okay, so Frenzy Charge will give you more attack speed, and it actually also gives Ice Spear more damage per Frenzy Charge. So this is quite good. Okay, you have chance to freeze as well, and of course greater multiple projectiles so that you can shotgun stuff that are very near you. Okay, so for the aura, I think it's very standard also. You're gonna go with Hatred, Herald of Ice, Precision, and then movement skill. Movement skill, I'm gonna go with Frost Blink instead. So you can choose here, okay, either Frost Blink or Flame Dash. Okay, Flame Dash works as well. Over here, just choose one of them. Flame Dash basically has 3 charges. You have more, but it is not instant. But Frost Blink only has 1 charge and it is instant. So which means when you are spinning halfway, you can just click Frost Blink and you go in the direction that you are facing and just continue spinning. Okay, this is very good for you to get out of very dire situations as well. Like, if you're constantly getting stunned or getting poked or getting slapped up, down, left, right by many mobs, you can just Frost Blink out immediately. But Flame Dash does not allow you to do that. Okay, and for the debuff, gonna go with Vortex, Hex Touch, Frostbite, and Bone Chill. Very standard over here. This is our Curse Hex Touch skill. You can cast Vortex when you are spinning as well. This skill is instant, so very nice. And for our I'm gonna put one defensive skill over here, which is cast when damage taken and Immortal Core. You can change this anyhow you like, but I feel Immortal Core is kind of the better one, since we are not even going for evasion or armor. We will probably have this like just straight flat up percentage elemental damage reduction and physical damage reduction. Okay, and I keep this at level 9 so that when I take about 1000 plus damage, it will trigger this straight away. Okay, so you can just reduce this level so that it will trigger more often. Okay, but I just decided to keep it here. Just take note of the levels. And the last two, I just decided to go Cast on Death and Portal because the build is a glass cannon, right? There will be chances or instances where you die many times because the map is just too insane. You cannot handle all the projectiles and the spells and stuff like that. So like Cast on Death, Portal, why not? Okay, and below is the leveling skills. I have put all of them inside, like Act 1, what is supposed to go. After Act 2, this is the skills you need and stuff like that, all the way until Act 4, okay? So if you are using a Tabula Rasa, just use this over here, okay? There's this 6-link Frostblade. Oh, sorry, I forgot to disable. Yeah, so if you have a Tabula Rasa, use this. Okay, on to our items. Our items is very straightforward. Just take 2 Cosplay. Don't really need to bother about the increased attack speed, just get as much as you can because we are using double Cosplay. And then for helmet, go with Devoto's Devotion. You just want to go fast, okay? With the increased 10% reduced physical damage and dex, you don't really have to bother about not having enough attributes and stuff. And there is a very nice little sweet 20% chaos resistance, okay? Mainly just going this for the increased movement speed and chaos resist, I would say. And then for body armor, this is just get any body armor, okay? It can be the corrupted 16 as long as it's the correct colors. I didn't change the colors here, so do take note. You just need to follow this, okay? Which is 3 green, 2 blue, and 1 red. Okay, just get any corrupted one. It will be best if you can get some life on it. And then gloves also, just go with life and resistance. Boots go with life, resistance, and increased movement speed. If this is too expensive, then just find 3 of the mods and bench craft one of them. Amulet also the same, so life and resistance, but this has to be a Citrian amulet because you need the stats for it, okay? You need the attributes for it, which is strength and dex. And then allocate divine judgment. So divine judgment is over here, which is very cheap, okay? So 50% increased elemental damage. You only need a sapphire, teal, and black. I think this costs about 3 chaos only. So very cheap over here with just 50% increased elemental damage. And then for both of your wings, you can just go for any wings, but the best will be probably coral because it gives more life. So life and resist on one. And the other one, you can go for life and then just go for increased cold damage because our resistance will probably be capped already. Okay, unless you have problems finding the resistance item, then you will probably need to change your cold damage to resist over here. And then just bench craft a strength and dex modifier, so you have enough strength and dex for the build. And then last one, belt. Of course, best is steel leather belt for more maximum life, and then go for double resistance plus life modifier as well, okay? And for your flask, right, I think this is very important, so take note. The first one you want to get is Quicksilver, okay? I think this is very obvious. You just want to go fast, right? And then the next will be Diamond Flask, okay? You need this flask with the modifier that increase critical strike chance during flask effect, okay? With this, right, you're going to get about at least 120 for the lowest tier. I think the minimum one will probably be like 41%. Give me a minute, I just check. Critical strike. So yeah, I actually took the middle one, which is like level 50, eye level 50. Otherwise, you can go for the lower one, which is like 32 to 37%. It's fine also, but just take note, you need the increased critical strike chance during flask effect, okay? And the third one is the most important one. I think many people has actually not keep this in mind. The build, ever since the changes, right, the build has required a lot of mana, okay? So Enduring Eternal Mana Flask is really required for this build, where 66% reduced amount received, but the effect is not removed. Okay, it just continues to regenerate for you, and there will be a 24% reduced mana cost of skills during flask effect, and this is the flask modifier of the Arcanist. Okay, you don't really have to get 24%, so you can even get the lower ones like 17% or whatsoever. I myself am using the 16%, but it's just good enough. Okay, this flask is very, very important. Otherwise, you have problems sustaining your mana. Okay, so the fourth one, go for Aziri Promise. This is like just 2 chaos or something like that. And then last one, Life Flask. Just get whatever that you're comfortable with. Okay, so on your sockets, right, there will be 3 sockets. I suggest to put 2 of them with Frozen Trail so that you have more projectiles. So a total of 5 Frostbolt projectiles. Okay, and then the last one, this is actually very important. So we will need Replicas Conqueror's Efficiency. I am not sure how much is this, but at that point of time, I bought it at 20 chaos. Maybe now it's about 30 chaos. I'm not sure. It is not very, very, very expensive, but it is kind of like required so that your non-channeling skills have -9 to total cost, because we're going to proc a lot of Ice Nova, right? So -9 means a lot to us, okay? So if you're going to proc like maybe 3 times or 4 times in 1 second, that will mean, okay, let's say if I don't have this, it's 21 mana. 21 mana times 4 is about 84 mana per second. We cannot sustain that. We definitely cannot sustain that because we won't have enough mana. See, ours is only 74, and that is excluding all your other skills, okay? So that's why Replicas Conqueror's Efficiency is very important, because you're going to need to account for your Frostbolt as well, Arcane Surge as well. Frostbolt and Frostbomb, and then your Ice Spear as well. Okay, they all also require mana. So really do remember that this is very, very important. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to do a short Q&A for most of the common questions. So first, how far can this build take you? Okay, currently I am doing tier 14, 15, 16 maps, your red tier. I'm doing fine, but at times I still die. Like the monsters are actually somewhat powerful. Like I mentioned, we don't have any defensive layer, right? So I have to be freezing them and chilling them first before they actually can get to me. So that is the problem when you reach tier 14 to 16 maps. Other than that, this is really very awesome. It's very fast and has very high damage. Okay, next. So I'm having mana problems. How do I solve it? The question is very simple. You need to follow my POB very strictly. The most important thing for this problem is your enduring mana flask and the Replicas Conqueror's Efficiency. I think this two is the most important one. And make sure you equip Inspiration onto your Cyclone cast on Crit Ice Nova. Okay. Next is increased cooldown recovery rate not needed in this build. The answer is very simple, no, because this is a low budget build. You don't really have to go so much into detail for this kind of things. Like, unless you're going for the medium budget version, then I would definitely recommend you to get more increased cooldown recovery rate on yourself, okay? But of course, that can be just simply applied with 1 awakened cast on crit. And yeah, that will be for the medium budget version. Otherwise, just don't bother about it now. It's too complicated. We don't need such a complex thing for a low budget version. Okay, next, why am I not critting in my hits? You have to look out, first of all, for your Cospriest Malays, because there are many people that actually corrupt their Cospriest Malays, and you cannot have Resolute Technique on your Cospriest Malays. Resolute Technique is a passive skill that doesn't allow you to deal any crit damage, okay? So you are not able to buy 1 Cosmic Malays with that implicit modifier. Please take note. Just don't get any corrupted items. Okay, and is this build able to do Cyrus 8? Guys, this is a low budget build. I think by now, those of you that have actually reached there, you understand that Cyrus 8 is not an easy fit even for low budget builds, okay? Even my Karen Golem build, like, is so specialized in single target, is actually struggling with Cyrus 8. Like, so far I have only managed to down it once. Other than that, it's really hard. I don't even want to attempt to do it. So there you go. The answer is just no. I don't think it's able to do Cyrus 8. Okay, and last question, will you be doing a medium budget build for this? Yes, I will definitely be doing a medium budget build for this because I am using this as my main for this league. The Scourge map is really fun. There is a lot of interactions, a lot of funky things you can do with your Atlas this league. That is why I have decided to go for COC Ice Nova instead, like something that is good for mapping. Okay, that comes to the end of my build guide for COC Ice Nova. If there is any other questions, do head over to my Discord chat group or leave your comments in the comment section below. Otherwise, for now, just have fun and chill with this build until I release the medium budget version of it. I am very sure and I guarantee you that the medium budget version is very strong. Okay, with the new changes to Awaken cast on crit, I can say that the build is very, very strong. It's sort of like a mini aura stacker, where it actually has lots of defensive layer and it can already dish out so much damage. And my medium budget version will still maintain around 50 exalts. Unless it's quite off the table, I'll try to change or tweak some things here and there. So yeah, you can start saving up now. Okay, once again, thank you for watching. Do remember to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me. Thank you. Bye.